Okay, so let's meditate on bodhicitta. Um, so I thought to try to go through this we just have two sessions of meditation, right? This one and next week. So I thought this week, since we have, how long do we have now? About hour and 45 minutes now. So thought to go through first just meditate on the definition of bodhicitta and some of the benefits in one section, and then then take a little break, and then meditate on equanimity for a bit, and then after that, meditate on the sevenfold cause and effect method for generating bodhicitta. So if you have your outlines or any materials you want to look at during the meditation, you're welcome to get those organized. Otherwise, I'll share the screen and show some of the, what's better? Show the outlines or the PowerPoint? Maybe it's better, I think, actually, just to show the outlines instead of the PowerPoint slides. Well, the slides will be easier to read, maybe, and that's what I was going to show. I'll just show the slides. I'll show some slides, which, I suggest you meditate on while I'm explaining or just leading the meditation. Yeah, so first three teaching sessions, we covered the definition and benefits, and then equanimity, and then sevenfold cause and effect. So that's just to go through. We spent some time meditating on each. Okay, so anyway, I get comfortable in your meditation seat. And then check through the points of your posture. And turn your mind inwards and focus your attention on an object of placement meditation, your breath or your mind or so forth, for a minute or so. Generate some mental focus and check the state of your mind. Mm. And then visualize yourself surrounded by all sentient beings, friends, enemies, and strangers. Mm. And then adjust your motivation for meditating on bodhicitta, generate positive motivation. Mm. And generate the mind of refuge, going for refuge to the Buddha Dharma Sangha. So as we meditate on bodhicitta, be sure to bring in, your understanding of the sufferings of all of samsara and the root cause of samsara, ignorance, grasping at inherent existence. And then the antidote to that, the wisdom, realizing emptiness. So try to bring in that whole understanding of why we suffer, the ultimate cause of suffering, the antidote to that. Yeah, how everything is independent arising and emptiness, in the nature of being empty of inherent existence. So, but to begin with, so looking at the definition of bodhicitta, we can think about the two aspirations, the causal aspiration and the of great compassion, right? Remembering how bodhicitta arises from great compassion, the mind wishing to free all sentient beings without excluding one from every form of suffering. And then compelled by great compassion, then looking to see what's the most effective thing oneself can do to work towards freeing all sentient beings from suffering, and recognizing that it's only by achieving full enlightenment can we fully develop our own potential to benefit others, and thereby be of the greatest service to other sentient beings. So then one generates the aspiration to achieve full enlightenment oneself. So there's the causal aspiration of great compassion, and then the companion or accompanying aspiration of enlightenment. So recognizing that, then, understanding that, then try to generate some degree of each of those in the short time we have. Mm. So then, in dependence upon, especially the causal aspiration, great compassion, and we try to generate, we can remembering, I mean, in general, the two methods for generating bodhicitta, the sevenfold cause and effect method, and the method of benefiting oneself and others. So without going through, all the steps of those, just we need a way of, generating the mind of bodhicitta, um, kind of succinctly. So especially in dependence upon great compassion for all sentient beings, and then seeing, why it's important to become fully enlightened, and how actually this state of full enlightenment, how that enables oneself um, to benefit other sentient beings, especially by having omniscience, having control over one's mental continuum, not having to take rebirth again and again, not forgetting the past, and then having clairvoyance, knowing the past, knowing other sentient beings' minds, knowing the karma of other sentient beings, and knowing exactly how to benefit each individual sentient being, so forth. So, mm, so remembering how essentially bodhicitta arises from having, the selfless concern for others and equal concern for all sentient beings, then we'll just look through the definition and then try to generate um, the mind of bodhicitta for a few minutes. So, definition of bodhicitta is a special great vehicle, main mental cognizer. So it's a main mind in the class of paths that are an entrance to the great vehicle. So it's once one generates uncontrived bodhicitta, then that's the mark of entering the great vehicle, the path of accumulation. Um, and then, all the instances of bodhicitta thereon are belong to the class of that entrance to the great vehicle. It arises in conjunction with its companion and aspiration, yearning to achieve full enlightenment, to achieve the welfare of other sentient beings. So on the one hand, try to generate some degree of this contract bodhicitta, effortful mind of bodhicitta, and then with part of your mind compare to the definition. So try not to think about the definition just intellectually. Try to generate some experience of the aspiration of bodhicitta, but then also check that the attitude you're generating, does it fulfill the different aspects of this definition to some degree. So spend about 5 minutes like that, trying to generate the mind of bodhicitta and reflecting on the defining characteristics of bodhicitta. And finally, for 5 minutes or so, to try to maintain some degree of the mind of bodhicitta. Then with part of the mind, just think about the different benefits of that attitude. So you can use this list. I think it's from Liberation of the Palm of Your Hand, or just think in your own way, or both, about the various benefits of bodhicitta. Okay, so let's relax our attention there and take say a few minutes break, and then we'll resume. So next we'll meditate on equanimity after a few minutes. Okay. Mm. Okay. So let's meditate for about half an hour on, well, 25 minutes, and then we'll have another 5-minute break on equanimity. So so usually when we meditate on equanimity, it's good to, again, because we want to equalize. So of the different kinds of equanimity, I mean, there's several different kinds, but especially the ones we're mainly concerned with. Then, so here I mean, this kind of equanimity is mainly concerned with our own attitude towards and our own way of relating to others. So we want to try to relate to others in a way that's unbiased, right? So we want to level out our the quality of our concern for other sentient beings, so that it's not made uneven by being attached to some and biased with a sort of liking, and then becomes craving and grasping for those that we perceive as pleasant, and then against those we perceive as unpleasant, right? So having animosity or animosity or dislike towards others, and thereby not caring about them, or even having ill wishes towards them. So we want to clear away that. And then also with those whom they don't fall in the category of friend or antagonist or enemy for us, then other sentient beings, we want to check that we don't have a sort of disinterest, totally unfeeling kind of disinterest, total lack of concern for them. So we want to even out our degree of concern such that we have the equal sense of concern for all sentient beings, and on the basis of that. So that's like the analogy here of a field. Before you plant crops in a field, then you level it, plow the field and level it, and clear away weeds and debris and so forth. Or if you're going to paint, what is it, like a mural on a wall, then first you even out the surface by plastering it and making the plaster surface even, so that you can then paint something on it. So I mean, the basis for, generating this attitude of equanimity, mind of equanimity towards all sentient beings, is then the basis for cultivating a universal loving kindness and compassion, which are then the basis for bodhicitta. So the way to meditate is visualize oneself, as we did at the beginning, surrounded by all sentient beings in these three groups, recognizing those whom you tend to be attached to, your friends and family, and then those whom you tend to be averse to, enemies and visualizing them directly in front, and then imagining oneself surrounded by all sentient beings who fall in the category of strangers. Mm. But then usually when one generates meditates on equanimity like this, then one visualizes directly in front of oneself one representative from each group um, in front of you. Mm. So yeah, but maybe before we kind of fully go into that visualization, then the other kinds of equanimity which we're not generating here are in immeasurable equanimity. Then on the one hand, it's concerned with one's own attitude towards others, but there's also the generating the aspiration that other sentient beings generate an equanimity towards each other, right? Towards one another. So that's not what we're doing here. And then another kind of equanimity which is involved in generating bodhicitta is equalizing oneself and others. So generating equal sense of concern for the welfare of others as one has for oneself, right? So that's more in the equalizing and exchanging self and others method. So that's also not what we're doing here. So here again, we're just trying to generate from our own perspective an equal sense of concern for all sentient beings without being biased towards friends and against enemies. Mm. So having that as the basis, then there's four, well, I kind of listed out four different ways to reflect. Generally, there's many, many different ways to reflect to generate equanimity. The main thing is to keep in mind, reducing attachment to some and aversion towards others, and generating equal sense of concern for all. So we can just go through. So first, maybe visualize oneself surrounded by all sentient beings, and then imagine one representative from each of the three groups of friends, enemies, and strangers in the space in front of you, and check how you relate to each of them ordinarily. So then begin with the first and the main reasoning. Reflect how all sentient beings are the same in desiring happiness and desiring to be free from suffering. So first check in with yourself to see how you yourself have those kind of fundamental desires to have long-lasting satisfaction and happiness and be free from suffering. So how that is for yourself, and then gradually in about 5 minutes, then focus on first the friend you're visualizing in front of you, then the stranger, and then last the antagonist or enemy, and try to get a sense of how they are the same and having those two fundamental desires that motivate their behavior. Mm. And then the next reasoning to generate equanimity is reflecting how, from the perspective of just from one's own perspective, right? From the perspective of oneself, how all sentient beings have been equally friends, enemies, and strangers through countless lifetimes. And even in this life, those positions change, right? So even in this life, the way we relate to others as friend, enemy, or stranger is not definite. Someone we were enemies with early in life can be a friend later in life. Someone we were friends earlier in life can be, a kind of detested enemy, or someone we don't get along with later in life. So those positions change, and therefore they're not particularly significant. They're not a stable basis for generating concern towards others. And then, of course, from life to life, those positions change dramatically. Mm. So try to think in those two different ways, and then, um, you know, continually try to generate an equal a sense of concern for the well-being of others, without discriminating. Now let's spend the rest of the time, like another 8 minutes. You can meditate on, well, I mean, on these. These two reasonings. So the next is that from the perspective of other sentient beings, then those whom we consider a friend in the eyes of others are a stranger or an enemy. So the label, in our way of relating to them, there's nothing inherently existent about that. It's just the way we relate to them. It's just a interrelated kind of thing. So it's not involved with their fundamental nature. And the same with an enemy. Other people see that person as a dear friend or a stranger. Same with a stranger. So recognizing that those labels that we put in the kind of ways we relate to others as friends, enemy, and stranger, there's no natural basis. There's no inherent basis in that. Yeah, they're just dependently related kind of imputations that we project from our own mind. So recognizing that, then try to look at the more fundamental nature of beings as being the same as us and wishing to have happiness and be free from suffering, and having the right to those, having the potential for those. So recognizing the benefits of having an attitude of equanimity, then try to generate equanimity towards all others. And then the fourth reasoning is just thinking about you can apply different antidotes to, aversion towards one group, seeing the faults of anger and so forth, and then antidotes to attachment towards another group, seeing how attachment is an unrealistic expectation that others give us happiness. It's fundamentally not satisfying. So thinking in those couple different ways for the next, actually 6 minutes now. And again, try to generate attitude of equanimity towards all. Mhm. Okay, so let's relax our attention there and take another few minutes break. And then we'll come back and meditate on the sevenfold cause and effect method for generating bodhicitta. Okay, let's start again then. So we'll meditate on the sevenfold cause and effect method, just step by step in the time we have, about 20 minutes. So first, so the steps you remember are the seven. Understanding all sentient beings to have been your mother. So reflecting how all sentient beings have been your mother in past lives. That's probably the hardest, but you can go through the different reasonings because we've had infinite past lives, and many of those past lives we've had a mother, and therefore they've all been our mother. Let's see. And then remembering their kindness. So there we're supposed to remember the kindness of our mother in this life, or a main caregiver in this life, a parent, or whoever. It doesn't have to be one's mother, but whoever's been most kind, most selflessly kind to oneself in this life. And then remember how in the past lives every sentient being has been equally kind to us. And then third, generating wish to therefore repay their kindness because they've been so kind to us. And then, fourth, generating a sense of love, wishing for them to have happiness and well-being. And then compassion, thinking how they suffer. So fourth, thinking, wishing them to have love. Well, I'll say more about it when we come to it. But then the steps: compassion, and then altruistic, wholehearted resolve to establish others in a state of freedom from suffering and ultimate happiness. And then 7 bodhicitta. So let's just spend some time reflecting on a few minutes, trying to generate the understanding that all sentient beings have been our mother in a past life, or at least we can't point to any sentient being and say they haven't been our kind mother. And here you can also think about the kindness of your father, grandparents, aunts, uncles, and so forth. But how sentient beings, we can't definitively say any sentient being has not been kind to us in some way in a past life. But especially recognizing all sentient beings have been our mothers and so forth. And then the next step, remembering the kindness of sentient beings. So beginning with remembering the kindness of our mother or other main caregiver in this life, from the time we were, in our mother's womb, especially all through our early childhood, and then later in life as well. So as you think about the kindness of your mother or others in this life, then at the same time try to generate a sense of gratitude, thankfulness for their kindness, and then a wish to repay their kindness. So we can meditate on these two together for about 5 minutes. And then for the next 5 minutes, focus on love, generating a mind of love and compassion. And then leading up to this, what is it called? The wholehearted resolve, or the exceptional intention, it's usually called, to take personal responsibility to establish beings in perfect happiness and freedom from suffering. So we don't have so much time left, so maybe just spend a couple minutes on each, on this altruistic love, and then compassion, and then the exceptional intention, taking responsibility. So then focus on compassion, great compassion. And then finally, focus or try to generate the exceptional attention, or the wholehearted resolve, and then bodhicitta again in the last couple of minutes. Okay, so relax your attention there, and we'll dedicate. So by the force of whatever merit we've generated by meditating on bodhicitta, May all sentient beings, our kind mother, sentient beings, who've been kind to us from life to life in this and past countless past lives, be free from every form of suffering. And especially we pray for those who are suffering through the force of natural disasters, who've lost their homes through flooding or fire, earthquakes. May they have the assistance they need to rebuild their lives and have clothing, food, shelter, companionship. And all those who are sick and ill in body and mind, may they quickly receive appropriate treatment and recover to full health. Especially Jan, Jan's husband, who was recently diagnosed with cancer. May he quickly make full recovery. And then all the others, all other human beings, animals, other beings of the six realms. May they quickly be freed from their whatever suffering they're experiencing. May there be a resolution to the war in Ukraine, wars in other places, and solutions to climate destruction and pollution. So in short, may every sentient being have every form of well-being and happiness, to full enlightenment. May the Buddha Dharma and all other spiritual teachings which benefit sentient beings flourish in the world, and may our Guru's lives be long and stable. And then bring to mind any other prayers or aspirations you'd like to make. So may all those be fulfilled in accordance with your virtuous wishes. So, yep, see you again next week at 7 o'clock your time, right? Yeah, okay. And be sure to be here on time next week. Okay.
Daylight savings.
Bye.
Okay.
Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. Catch you later.